everybody, Claudia Boleyn here, and today I'm reviewing Doctor Who Series 9 Episode 1, The Magician's Apprentice. If you haven't seen my reviews before, then there are a couple of things you need to know about me. Number one, I'm not a huge fan of Stephen Moffat. I can appreciate that he is a clever man, certainly, and sometimes he writes some really cool stuff. Some of his lines are very funny, and I do like some of his characters, but I am very critical of him. A lot of people know me for that. I did prefer the Rusty Davies era, and I enjoy a lot of classic Who as well, so if you're someone who loves Stephen Moffat, then you might have to put up with some of my bitterness and complaining. But you're entitled to your own opinion, of course, and if you love Stephen Moffat, then you're more than welcome here, because different opinions are what makes this world go round. Number two, yes, I am a girl who likes Doctor Who. Get over it. And number three, yes, I'm a bit of a social justice warrior, I'm afraid. So you have to put up with me doing a bit of a social critique sometimes on the episodes. You probably already know that, and that might be even why you're here, if you've seen my reviews before, but if not, it might be a bit of a change from your usual stuff. So I'm warning you in advance, because some people don't like their media to be, deconstructed in like a critical social sense. They don't like that sort of analysis, and that is fine. You don't have to enjoy that, but that's what I do, so this is your chance to go if you don't like that. Okay, so my reviews are usually quite long, but this time round I wanted to make them shorter than usual. I've already spoken way too much, so I'm going to go through a list of points that I noticed, and just tell you a little bit about what I thought of the episode in general. I went into this series not knowing anything about it whatsoever. I kind of have gone off Doctor Who since Moffat took over. It's been a gradual process. Like, I enjoyed the 11th Doctor, and then I started to go a bit bitter towards the end of that, and then I've been watching it, but not like a super fan, so I didn't know anything that was going to happen in the episode. I don't know how it was for other people, like if there were spoilers and stuff that people knew about, but I didn't know anything, so it was all completely new for me, so I watched it with fresh eyes. So in this episode we had the quandary of the Doctor deciding whether it would be okay to go back in time and kill a bad, evil person that was going to cause a lot of destruction in the future. It's basically the would you go back in time and kill baby Hitler debate that I think we've all got into. Tell me other people have got into that debate with their friends, because I have many a time. And it's a complex debate, and that's kind of the crux of the episode. We had at the start the Doctor meeting a poor little child, like, stuck in the middle of a war, and he went to rescue him from some creepy hand mines with little eyes and hands, and it turned out it was Davros, and so the Doctor decided to leave him to die. Oh, by the way, my reviews don't go in chronological order, by the way, so I'm going to be jumping all over the place, and it's full of spoilers. So now I'm going to jump straight to the part which, well, this is a part that made me laugh anyway. So later we met adult Davros, who was sitting in his cage thing, wherever he lives on Skaro. And when he met the Doctor, he didn't look very happy. He was kind of sitting there like this. He was really bored. Played by Julian Bleach, which is amazing. I think it's been 8 years since he last played Davros, so that's fantastic. He played that very well. And he was quite amusing, because he actually had footage of the 4th Doctor from Genesis of the Daleks, actually talking about the quandary of, have I the right to destroy the Daleks? Can you kill an evil child if you know that the child's going to become an evil adult? Just the idea of Davros with receipts just cracks me up. I just think that's hysterical, and it's something that all Doctor Who villains should now start doing. Let's be honest though, Davros is pretty fucking rude. Sorry, I do swear in my reviews as well. If you don't think that's very ladylike, then fuck you, really. But yeah, basically, I did think it was quite amusing, and also quite insulting of Stephen Moffat as a writer, to have Davros say to Peter Capaldi's Doctor that he liked his face because it was more similar to his own than ever before. Has Davros seen himself? Like, that's not a compliment. Davros has not got a very attractive face. Poor Peter Capaldi. Just for that little comment, I would go back in time and kill that little shit, because that's rude as hell. Also, something I thought of while watching the episode is when that little kid says his name's Davros, and there's that big moment where the Doctor's like, oh no, it's baby Hitler, what do I do? Like, what if it's not the real Davros? What if his parents are just really big Skaro enthusiasts? They're complete nerds, and the Doctor's just left an innocent child called Davros to die. Maybe there's more than one person in the universe called Davros, maybe. I did actually really like the references to Genesis of the Daleks, which I believe is a 1975 Doctor Who episode. I've seen the episode, I'm just thinking, is it 1975? I think it is, I'll fact check that. But that was really cool, and in that episode itself, you've got, like, Sarah Jane telling the Doctor, for God's sake, man, kill the Daleks, they're evil Nazi tanks out to kill everyone, you've got to do it. And the Doctor, because he's very compassionate and he feels a lot about this kind of thing, he doesn't know if he can do it. And I really like that aspect of the Doctor. I mean, I'm personally with Sarah Jane. If you can wipe out the Nazis / Daleks, then, go for it. But the Doctor's a little more hesitant there. It's a good episode, go back and watch it, it's amazing. You'll see some cool parallels to this episode. The fangirl in me was very excited because, like, I don't know how much you know about the background of Davros, but when Davros was young, as in the young Davros we saw, there's a big war going on called the War of Attrition between Davros's people and another group of people, and it went on for a very, very long time, and we've never actually seen that before in Doctor Who, and we actually got to see it now, and it's like all a different mixture of technology and like bows and arrows and stuff, and that was exciting to see, I have to admit, and it was exciting to see Skaro again, because I am a fangirl, and even if the writing goes to absolute rubbish, I'll still be very excited by seeing things like that, so that pleased me a lot. Now, there is a continuous trope that Stephen Moffat uses. I think he's used it every single series for, like, the past however many series, which is, the Doctor must go to his inevitable doom. It is his darkest, most impossible hour, and he's going to have a bit of a sulk. He doesn't really fancy dying, so he's going to go off and waste some time, and we have to watch the Doctor angsting about his potential death. Now, this worked with the 10th Doctor, who didn't want to regenerate, because it had never happened before. It wasn't something that was used every series, and also it was like a massive exciting change in his character when he became like the Time Lord Victorious, and it was exciting. But with Stephen Moffat, this trope happens every series now, that it happens so many times that it's not even exciting anymore. When Clara and Missy are looking for the Doctor, and Unit are looking for where the Doctor could be, there's all these little marks on the screen about, oh, I wonder where he is, where would the Doctor go? Well, I mean, he's used up a lot of options already, because he's done it a lot of times. I mean, how many times can this plot point be reused? I wouldn't be surprised if it's used again next series. I hope it's not, but it seems to be one of the only things Stephen Moffat can think of, and I just find it dull now. Sorry, okay, bitterness over, I will continue this review. The snake dude. I really liked that snake dude. When I first saw him, I admit I judged him. I actually wrote in my episode notes, because I'm a nerd and I write notes while I watch the episode, I thought, what a disgusting, horrible being he is, because I don't really like snakes very much. I have a bit of a thing about snakes. But as the episode went on, I realised I really quite liked this snake dude. I liked the way he sort of roller skated around the place, and the fact that he and his other snake friends were a democracy was nice, and the way he drove the Doctor to Skaro was lovely. He didn't interfere, he just got on with his job. It does amuse me that these snakes were in the form of a human being and that they're a democracy, and that leads to many confusing and amusing questions, such as, how do they decide who goes where? I'm just imagining them all voting on who has to be the arse of this person, really, and some poor person getting outvoted, but they have to go with it, because they're democratic, these snakes, and they don't want to go against the will of the majority, so they're stuck on the arse of this person. It was all very Harry Pottery as well, because Davros has become, what was it they called him? Like, it wasn't the Dark Lord. Was it the Dark Lord? It was the Dark Lord of Skaro. It was very Harry Pottery, quite amusing. How Davros has befriended this man who is a nest of snakes is funny, really. I bet there's a funny story behind that, but that's a strange little friendship they've got going on that I'm intrigued by. Okay, so suddenly, swooping back to the beginning of the episode, we had Clara teaching in school, as you do. That is genuinely where teachers do teach, but she said that there was a throwaway line about her having kissed Jane Austen, and as a bisexual person and someone who thinks that Stephen Moffat's representation has been poor so far, I was really hopeful, and I'm hoping it's not just a throwaway line and that they might delve into Clara's potential bisexuality, because she's mentioned that kind of thing before, and yes, it's been a joke, but I'm willing to put my faith in Stephen Moffat and say maybe he's changed a little, and we're not just the joke, we're not just the funny punchline, and that we're actually going to get some representation. I would love for Clara to become canonically bisexual, or to be stated as canonically bisexual. It would mean a lot to me as a bisexual person, so we shall see where that goes. Do you think it was a little odd and a bit far-fetched that Clara, she's an intelligent woman, and I love Clara, and she's a teacher, so, you know, she's educated, and, you know, but she went down to Unit, where, like, I'm imagining the best science and alien brains are, like, amassed, and she instantly became the cleverest person in the room. Clara Oswald was telling them all what should be done, which made me laugh a little bit. Okay, like, you get creative license to do that with your characters, but I do think Stephen Moffat does have a tendency of making Clara, like, the most amazing companion there's ever been, overshadowing everyone else who's ever lived. That's just something I think. But I like Clara. I don't mean that to bring her down, because I really do like her. So that brings me to Missy. The Master / Missy is just one of my favourite Doctor Who characters, and I think Michelle Gomez plays her so well. I just find her immensely amusing. Like, even when she's in the background of a shot, she's the one I'm looking at. It doesn't matter who else is on the screen, I'm looking at her. I do want to complain a little bit about the way that she's being written, because I find, this is my personal opinion, feel free to disagree. I'm sure you have heard this many times before from various feminists and people on the internet, and you're probably very bored of it, but I'm going to go on anyway. I feel like Missy is unnecessarily sexualised. Like, once or twice, like, I can imagine the Master having a cheeky little joke, but it's got to the point where everything she does is described as flirting or sexy, and there was a very uncomfortable moment where she said something about the dog's unmentionables and then tickled a Dalek ball. That was very worrying. Is nothing sacred, Stephen Moffat? Is nothing sacred anymore? I think the man is sex obsessed. Like, you have to admit, whether you like the man or not, sex has become a more prominent part of Doctor Who, and everything's suddenly sexy all the time now, which I'm not a fan of, and I do question whether, if the Master was the Master instead of Missy, if the Master would be given those lines. I don't think the Master would have. I think that's because Missy is now a woman, personally. But that's just me again. Feel free to disagree with that. We had, at the end of the episode, spoiler alert, Missy and Clara being exterminated by the Daleks. It was a very exciting scene. But the thing is, death doesn't really mean anything in Doctor Who anymore, so I wasn't actually that worried. I mean, I felt bad for Clara because I like Clara, and Jenna Coleman acts her so well that, like, even when she's written really badly, she manages to really squeeze out the emotion there, so you do feel attached to her. But I don't know, like, I knew when she was exterminated, she wasn't exterminated, so it wasn't like a, oh my god, Clara's dead, what am I going to do? It was, oh, poor Clara, hope that didn't hurt, but never mind, because she'll be back soon, because under Stephen Moffat, death is never permanent. That is something, again, that I don't like about Stephen Moffat's writing, that death doesn't actually feel dangerous anymore, because you know that if they're a main character, they'll come back to life. So no worries there. Not sure what I think about Clara's characterisation at the moment. I feel like I have like a sort of, I have a thing about this, because Stephen Moffat in the past has done this to his companions, where magically they will forget their past and their personality even, and they will just go along with the story like a pawn on a chessboard just to make the plot go along. Like when Amy had her infant daughter stolen from her and was distraught by this, and then later seems to have forgotten all about it and to have completely recovered from this trauma. And I worry that this is going to happen with Clara and Danny. She did talk about Danny this episode, but I don't feel like she's acting really the way a person would act in Clara's situation, judging by what she's witnessed. I feel she's being a little bit too pally with Missy, considering that it's kind of down to Missy that Danny was in all that pain, but maybe that's something that will be like delved into later on, so I won't judge yet, but I do worry that Stephen Moffat forgets about his characters' like emotions and stuff. He just wants them to be part of the exciting, explosive story. So I'm going to end by talking about the Doctor, and Peter Capaldi I think is a great actor, and I have nothing against him, and I think he plays the Doctor well, but his Doctor just doesn't capture me, really. I liked it when he was more cutesy at the very start. Suddenly in this episode he's become sort of like 11. He's like an older hipster Doctor, playing the guitar, and it really could have been 11 in that scene, and that bothers me because I feel like other Doctors are more distinct from each other. Like, I feel I'm not just getting at Stephen Moffat. I'm not saying Stephen Moffat can't do this, because 9 and 10 and 11, for example, are distinctly different Doctors, and you wouldn't catch them all doing the same thing. I don't know why I just looked at my hand as if they were on there. You could tell, I think, if you were given a piece of dialogue from each of those 3 Doctors that you'd never heard them say before on screen, there were no clues, I think you could look at the words and think, I know which Doctor said what. I don't know if you could do that with 12 and 11 so much in this episode, the way 12 was characterised. For me, I found this episode to be kind of gimmicky, and it was so like focused on getting the plot to different places, and so many things were happening, and we were seeing so many different aliens and stuff, that it was like a feast for the eyes, and it was exciting in terms of like being a fangirl or a fanboy or a fan person, whoever you are out there. And it was exciting in that respect, but it didn't actually make a lot of like narrative sense, and I do miss that. And people will say, oh, it's just a kids' TV show, it doesn't need to make perfect sense. And I guess you're right, but it did used to make sense, so it's not something that can't be done, because under Russell T Davies I did feel that it was like, it managed to be emotional at the same time as being action-packed. And also I would pick emotion over things being action-packed any day, but maybe that's just because I'm more of a Ninth Doctor kind of person, and Stephen Moffat's more of a 12 or an 11. I am looking forward to next week, however, and I will keep an open mind, because I'm sure a lot of the things I've complained about now will be rectified, and I know I complain preemptively, but just forgive me, because I feel like I've been let down, because I reviewed last series and I found myself I was very hopeful last series, and I still watched it back. I watched it all back the other day, the last series, and reminded myself that I was kind of disappointed. I mean, it was like better than it had been, but still not quite where it was. So that's where I'm at with it anyway. Tell me what you thought about the episode in the comment section. As I say, all opinions are welcome. We just don't need rudeness and abuse. So please, no being rude to other people or to me. But yeah, tell me exactly what you think. You could disagree with every point I made in this video, and contrary to popular belief, yes, I may be a feminist, but I'm not a Nazi, and I will not censor your opinion. Feel free to praise the episode. Give it a 10 out of 10 if you want. I won't come to your house and kill you, I promise. I'm not a Dalek. I'll be back next week to review the next episode, and I hope you will join me for that. But if not, thanks for watching me. And I'm sorry if I wasted so and so minutes, however many minutes this is, of your life. Okay, I love you loads, and I'll see you next week. Bye!